If you are an Indian tech professional, corporate manager, or skilled worker who's preparing to move to Canada through an overseas company transfer, or if you have recently received a job offer from a multinational company promising a fast-track Canadian work permit, you need to pay closer attention here. Canada has quietly changed on one of the most popular work permit pathway, and that has impacted a lot of Indians. Ladies and gentlemen, on July 29, 2026, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, better known as IRCC, updated its officer guideline under Exemption Code C20, which falls under Reciprocal employment category of the International Mobility Program. If you see on paper, it may look like just another policy update. But in reality, it closes a pathway that many multinational companies had been using to transfer foreign employees into Canada without requiring a labor market impact assessment. So, what exactly has changed? Let's talk about it. Well, earlier many multinational companies hired professionals overseas and processed their Canadian work permit under the C20 category, even if the employee had not yet started working for the company outside Canada. The employment would officially begin only after the employee landed in Canada, and this became a convenient shortcut for companies that wanted to move talent quickly without waiting for a lengthy immigration processes. But that shortcut all gone. That's right, sadly, but under the new IRCC directive, a foreign national can no longer qualify for C20 work permit if their employment starts only after arriving in Canada. From now on, applicant must already have an active employer-employee relation with the overseas branch of the company before the work permit is processed. Let me simplify this for you a little. You cannot be hired today and immediately transfer to Canada tomorrow under this new rule. Well, this single policy change, it is already creating uncertainty across HR departments in India. And not just India, be it any city, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Toronto, Vancouver, and several global mobility teams. Because many companies had built their international hiring strategies around this very provision. To understand why this matters so much, we need to look at how multinational transfers usually work. If you see closely, normally companies use the Intra-Company Transfer or ICT route. But ICT route has one strict condition. The employer must have worked full-time for the overseas office of the company for at least 12 continuous months during the previous 3 years. That waiting period has often considered too long for urgent business requirements though. And that is exactly why many companies preferred the C20 category now. It allowed them to recruit somebody overseas, complete the paperwork, and move the employee to Canada much faster. According to Canada, that process no longer reflects genuine reciprocal employment. Canadian immigration authorities now say that employment beginning only after arrival does not represent a true exchange of professional knowledge between official officers here. And this new interpretation, it is not just for future applications. Canada has instructed immigration officers to apply these updated rules even to many pending C20 applications, extension requests, and change of condition file. That means applicants who submitted their paperwork months ago, they could still be affected by the new policy. Well, for many Indians, this creates a serious hurdle. You know why? Because if you have not already worked for an overseas branch of a company, you cannot prove it with salary, maybe with employment records or tax documents. Your application under Code C20 could now face refusal. So, let me give you options here. The first option is the traditional intra-company transfer route, but that requires completing the full 12 months of employment with a foreign office before applying. Second option is C11 Significant Benefit work permit. However, this category now faces much stricter scrutiny. Applicants must prove that their work will create measurable economic, social, and cultural benefit for Canada, making approval far more challenging than ever before. And then comes the third option. It is the regular temporary worker visa program, which, by the way, requires employer to obtain a labor market impact assessment. Well, that process involves advertising the job in Canada. That means proving that no qualified Canadian citizen or permanent resident is available, and complying with stricter labour market introduced in 2026. If you already have a Canadian transfer in process, immigration experts recommend taking these 3 immediate steps. First, confirm that you are officially employed by the overseas entities and maintain proper payroll documentation. Second, review your immigration strategy with qualified legal counsel just to determine whether another pathway such as ICT or C11 it may be appropriate. Finally, ensure all the employment records, job duties and wage details they are aligned with the latest Canadian guidelines before a decision is made. Though Canada remains an attractive destination for global talent, we do agree. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Its immigration system is becoming more selective, more documentation driven and far less flexible than before. And yes, while Canada is tightening its work permit rule, another major US immigration policy is raising fresh questions for NRIs who are planning to bring their parents and relatives to America.